and welcome to Boogie Mama Riffs. Today we're going to be doing another one of our track by tracks, AC/DC, Highway to Hell versus Back in Black, two Titanic albums, and I just thought that'd be really cool to put two, what do you want to call them, mega albums side by side against each other. And they're not really against each other, it's just the way of saying I'm just going to review both albums back to back basically. And some of you may notice I got my hair cut. I just thought I'd put it out there in case you're wondering if some new YouTuber has taken over my channel. But yeah, got my hair cut. Sometimes, I don't know, it's been a while since I play in a band, as some of you may know, and it's been a while since I got my hair cut. And I was thinking, sometimes when you have, 2, 3, or 4 girls or whatever compliment you in recent times about your hair and say, oh, I wish I had your hair, then that made me think, hey, it's time to get a haircut. So anyway, I got my haircut. Let's get on with it. Today we're going to be doing Highway versus Back in Black, and Highway to Hell was actually recorded in the Bon Scott years of AC/DC in July 27, 1979. And Back in Black was actually recorded in 25th of July in 1980. So when AC/DC, from their inception, in their very beginning, all their albums were produced by Harry Vanda and George Young. That's Malcolm and Angus's older brother George, who Harry Vanda and Young were part of the Easy Beats, were almost, you could say, a band in the 60s, like one could say the Australian version of the Beatles, and some of us Australians actually thought the Easy Beats were better than the Beatles, but anyway. And so Harry Vanda and George Young produced all of AC/DC albums right up to the album Power Age. And I think from what I've read and researched and heard over the years, that there was actually a push by the management just to have a little bit more of a polished poppy type sound. And you could hear that in the Power Age album. I think it was in Rock and Roll Damnation, where they made it a little bit poppier and they had sort of hand claps, and I really like that. It's one of my favourite songs. But yeah, you could see the record company were trying to push AC/DC to get them up to that next level, and I feel like, unfortunately, and the record company felt that Vanda and Young took the boys as far as they could as producers, and even though they're really great producers, Vanda and Young, they've done so many bands. And then they brought in Eddie Kramer, who some of you may have heard of, who worked with bands like Jimi Hendrix and Experience and Led Zeppelin, and apparently it didn't work out working with Eddie Kramer. They just, for some reason, I'm not sure if any of you have ever been in the recording studio before, but it's kind of a bit of a high tension atmosphere, recording, high pressure atmosphere in the studio. So for some reason AC/DC and Eddie Kramer didn't get along. But they did record some tracks, and it's on an album. You may have heard the song at the start of this video in the intro. They did some tracks on an album called Vaults, AC/DC Vaults, and they're just some of the kind of first takes before Robert Mutt Lange came along and produced. So that brings us to the producer they found was Robert Mutt Lange to produce Highway to Hell in 1979. And this guy is known for being meticulous. He's a musician himself. He knows how to do it, and he really brought the boys up into the next level. Apparently Mutt Lange, taught Bon how to do breathing exercises so he could, breathe in between lines of songs, and you could notice that Bon's voice really kind of came up to a new almost level there. And the boys, like Angus's solos, which have always been good, for some reason Mutt Lange gave Angus some tips on how to just really drive the solo and make it shorter and neater and kind of poppier, for want of a better way of saying it. And then sadly Bon Scott passed away in February 1980 through a night of drinking and partying, and that's so sad. And one of the things that happened was the band just thought that was over. Bon had taken the Young brothers and brought them up to world status with Highway to Hell, and they're really starting to get back in the black. Is one of the things I read in a book recently, that one of the meanings for Back in Black isn't just a dedication to Bon Scott, but it was also AC/DC, you know, all these years had sort of been paying off debt, and they were just basically working on the road and really hard. And one of the things, the title for the album Back in Black was, someone asked Angus, you know, what's it like being on the road in America? You know, because America's such a big nation, just huge shows and that. And Angus said, oh, it's an effing highway to hell, you know. So that's where they got the name Highway to Hell from, and they came up with the riff. And then they were actually going to quit when Bon passed away, you know. It was a huge toll, and then they, with Bon Scott's family's blessing, they decided just to, you know, find another singer and keep going. That's what Bon would have wanted, and so they found Jono, Brian Johnson, and I don't know, I can see why they picked him. He's just a good bloke. You can just tell. Brian Johnson's a good bloke. So they regrouped and recorded Back in Black, which is one of the biggest selling albums ever, the second or third biggest selling rock album ever. And I really feel that's where AC/DC, they sort of went to the next level with Highway to Hell. And then when it came to Back in Black, it's when they really grew up. It's like they literally, the only way I can explain it is AC/DC literally grew up as a band when they recorded Back in Black. And you can hear that, the difference between Power Age to Highway to Hell, and then from Highway to Hell to Back in Black. It's just, the boys really grew up, and they just made a great album. So we're just going to do a track by track now on Highway to Hell versus Back in Black, and just see, and I always do this live, I like to do it live on camera and just do it off the cuff to see who's going to win the battle. I'm not sure which, this is my opinion too, by the way, I'm not sure which one you guys will pick. Okay, so the first track is Highway to Hell, the opening track, title track, versus Hell's Bells. I'm picking Highway to Hell. I'm a Bon Scott fan. Number 2, Girls Got Rhythm versus Shoot to Thrill. Ooh. Shoot to Thrill, yeah, it's a little bit played out. They always do it live, and it's a great song live, but I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with Shoot to Thrill because, yeah, you know, it's played out. It's a good song. Number 3, Walk All Over You on Highway versus What Do You Do for Money, Honey? Oh, Walk All Over You. I just love that slow intro with the drums, and that speeds up. And even in AC/DC Live in Paris video, Let There Be Rock video, they even have a film clip for that song, Walk All Over You. It's such a cool song. And so that's Walk All Over You, won that one. Number 4, Touch Too Much versus Giving the Dog a Bone. Well, Touch Too Much, it's probably one of the most poppiest AC/DC songs, I guess, until Thunderstruck came along. Number 5, last track on the first side of the album, as we used to say in the vinyl record days, Beating Around the Bush versus Let Me Put My Love Into You. Well, I'm going to go Let Me Put My Love Into You because it's good. If you listen to that one, it's got a sort of a slow intro and it builds up, and yeah, it's just, you can even hear the squeaking of the guitar strings in those days before they used to filter those things out. They really did record like a raw live album and polished it and added Angus's guitar track in. So when you're listening to an AC/DC album, you're actually listening to two Anguses. You've got sort of Angus and Malcolm playing the rhythm either side in the pan. They have Angus one side, Malcolm the other side, and then you've got another Angus that comes in and he plays over the top and then he does his lead. So you're actually listening to two Angus Youngs playing guitar when you hear an AC/DC album. So, and flipping the record over, the first track on Highway, on the Bon Scott one, is Shot Down in Flames versus Back in Black. Oh, try and pick that one. What's your favourite one of that? Shot Down in Flames versus Back in Black. Oh. I'm going to go Back in Black. That's hard to beat. I got the shirt on, so let's go with that. Song number 7, Get It Hot versus You Shook Me All Night Long. Well, Get It Hot. I like that song.
Moving down the motorway, got a whole lot of booze.
Yeah, I like that song. Good party song. The 8th track is If You Want Blood, You Got It versus Have a Drink on Me. Well, I'm going to give it to Have a Drink on Me because I saw AC/DC now twice, front row. Last time I saw them was the Rock or Bust tour, and they nailed that song live, Have a Drink on Me, and it's that song was a tip off to Bon, you know, Have a Drink on Me. That was a little quiet dedication to Bon, so Have a Drink on Me I'll give to that one. And 2 more tracks to go. Number 9 is Love Hungry Man versus Shake a Leg. I'm going Love Hungry Man. I like that. I like some of these slower sort of ones. And finally, AC/DC, they always used to put a slow song at the end of their album. So the final 2 tracks are Night Prowler versus Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. And I'm going to give it to Night Prowler because, yeah, just the way that it's so creepy, that song. And I just love playing it and singing it myself personally on guitar. And I just love how Bon Scott, you know, the last track Bon Scott ever recorded officially on the last album, and he says a little line, and he says, Shazba, Nanu Nanu, which is a guy from, Robin Williams played an actor called Mork from Ork, and he was from space, and before he left he used to go, Shazba, Nanu Nanu, and he'd leave. And then that's the last thing Bon ever said on a recording, so it was kind of cool. And also Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution, that was a great track. I remember I've been playing guitar since I was 10, and I remember 10 years old and I learnt musical theory and classical guitar, and I remember one day when I was a teenager I brought in an AC/DC book to my guitar teacher and presented it to him as such, and he looked through the songs and he said, hey, rock and roll ain't noise pollution. Well, that's what they think. Anyway, so I ended up getting away from the classical music and moving into rock and lead guitar and learning. Once I saw someone smash a guitar I thought, that's what I want to do, and I have done. Highly recommend smashing a guitar. And with Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution, it's a cool song. And right at the end of that track, they also, you can hear they sort of close the door, you know. Brian Johnson just says, rock and roll is just a rock and roll, yeah. And they go, bah, and they close the door. You know, AC/DC are gentlemen, they always close the door. So we're going to just do a quick count now. On the Highway to Hell album, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And on the Back in Black album, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So the final tally is Highway to Hell 6, Back in Black 4. So the winner is, of course, Bon Scott, Highway to Hell, one of the greatest albums of all time. So thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the program. Please remember to like and subscribe if you like this video. And we're going to be coming up with some new stuff really soon. The channel's growing, and we just thank you for your support, and we'll see you next time.